Take a look at the person next to you. Say God loves you and I love you too. Now feel the love in the sanctuary. Lift your voice and repeat after me. We come together, 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 we come together. In the name of love, we come together, 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 we come together. In the name of love. Now look at the person next to you. Say, I recognize the God in you. Feel the love in the sanctuary. Now lift your voice and repeat after me. Oh, we come together, 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 we come together. In the name of love, we come together, we come together, we come together, we come together, we come together. In the name of love, from every walk of life, every walk of life, every creed and color, every creed and color, in kinship we unite. In honor of the God in each other. Take a look at the person next to you. Say, namaste, I bow to you. I feel the love in the sanctuary. Feel the love in the sanctuary. Lift your voice and repeat after me. Oh, we come together. 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 In the name of love, we come together. 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 In the name of love, we come together. 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 In the name of love, we come together. We come together. We come together. We come together. We come
I'm just sort of humming the song. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Unity of Springfield. We are going to start singing to start off the service in the Blue Book. It's number 44. We are blessed.
Divine love within us blesses and honors our talent, our commitment, our time. Divine love within us blesses and honors our talent, our commitment, our time. We are blessings and inspiration. We are blessed, we are inspired. We are blessings and inspiration. We are blessed, we are inspired. Divine love within us blesses and honors our talent, our commitment, our time. Divine love within us blesses and honors our talent, our commitment, our time. We are blessings and inspiration. We are blessed, we are inspired. We are blessings and inspiration. We are blessed, we are inspired. We are blessed, we are inspired.
We are blessed, we are inspired, and we begin this service in prayer, in song. And we have lit the Christ candle here as a part of our connection to the greater unity movement and we connect and hold individual ministries in prayer each week. And this week we hold all the ministries in the state of Rhode Island in prayer. I'm not sure if we have any Unity churches in there, but we certainly have people who are Unity, positive, proactive thinkers. And so we think of everybody in the state of Rhode Island now, and we hold them in our hearts, in our minds, and we see them moving forward in their spiritual path through greater spiritual growth. Thank you, God. Amen. And now I'd like to introduce Chris Smith for the board minute. Maybe a minute and a half, we'll see.
Maybe, yeah. So much going on. Yes. So, to bring you up to date on things going on with the board, we recently had our board retreat out at Jubilee Farms. And you may say, why do we need to do that when we have monthly meetings? But the monthly meetings are very focused on the events of the moment, whereas in the day and a half we had out at Jubilee Farms, we're able to spend more time thinking a little farther down the road, doing some brainstorming on things that we can do as a church. And in doing that, we built on the work we did as an entire congregation during our gap period with Reverend Eliza in workshops where we determined who, our what, and our how is, and built on that with a lot of different ideas, some nearer term, some longer term, some that will come to fruition, some that may not, but just a couple things that are exciting that are upcoming. One is that we're going to have Unity Choir again under the leadership of Alyssa Furling. So be looking for the opportunity to serve in that. In October, on October 5th, we have tentatively scheduled a pet blessing, so we can have our pets gather for a Unity blessing. And we're also going to continue not on the kind of schedule we had during the gap period, but congregational workshops, because I think we found as a congregation that those opportunities to meet and interact and discuss matters of faith were really spiritual growth experiences that we all value and help moves us forward as a congregation. So we'll continue to do things like that. We're also continuing to deliberate about the future of the rental property. One of the things that needs to happen in advance of any kind of decision is to get a survey done to understand exactly how the parcels that we own fit together. And so that is scheduled to happen here, I think, in May. So those are the kinds of things that are going on. And let me speak just for a minute to your board. As you may recall, it's very similar to last year's board. I serve as president, Becky Phillips as vice president, Nancy Long as secretary, Alyssa as treasurer, and we have Myra Taylor and Ron Harlick. And the one new addition this year is Carol Strick as the alternate. And let me put in a word for the alternates that we have had in recent years, because Carol joins a proud tradition of people like Linda Cantor and Ron Harlick, who have served as alternates, meaning that they're on the board, but they do not have a vote on the board. But both Linda, Ron, and now Carol participate so fully in every other way, contributing great value to conversations and promoting ideas. And this is valuable in two important ways. One, obviously it enhances the discussion of the moment, but two, it keeps them very engaged and able to step in should the need arise, as it did with Linda, with Molly Hall's passing, as it did with Ron when Linda needed to step down. So both Linda and Ron were able to step in seamlessly to the board, and the board was able to move forward because of the engagement they had during the entire time that they were alternates. And I was very pleased to see Carol stepping up in the very same way during this first board retreat. So, and finally, let me say that Reverend Alden's leadership of the board retreat was outstanding, and it's great to have him here as our spiritual leader and corporate CEO. I know Alden and Donna are headed out on vacation, so even though it seems like they just got here, it's been several months, and it's been a very intense period for them as a couple, relocating up from Florida, establishing themselves here. It seems like you've been here for a long time, not just a few months, because I think Reverend Alden, Donna, and Danny have become members of this church family in such a short amount of time. And so, you know, I hope you have a great vacation, but I feel like a little like Brandon DeWild at the end of Shane. Come back, come back, come. So be sure to come back. Thank you.
Before our platform assistant comes forward, I just want to say thank you for the, I don't know if that was an endorsement or just a thank you, but about our vacation, and then I'll get out of the way here. When I moved up, we moved up in stages. Actually, I moved here 3 times during the month of December. One to bring a car and set up a rental house, another time to move all of our stuff and Donna and Danny up here. And Danny was like on the job the next day, pretty much. And then I had to go back to Florida and finish with my congregation in Bonita Springs. And I left there literally on Christmas Eve Sunday. If you remember, Christmas Eve was a Sunday last year. And after the service, you know, I went home, loaded up my trailer, and hit the road, and got to Springfield on December 29th. I started work January 1st, so I had a huge break between churches. Was that is that 2 days? My trailer performed flawlessly. Yes. Those of you who have seen the car I drive during the week here, it's an old Volvo, and I attach a trailer to it. I call it my Swedish F-150. So if you all need something picked up and you don't have a truck available, you know, for a very, 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 very small fee, I'll help move your stuff. So let's move on with the service and invite Jean Hembrall up here to lead us on.
And Chris, on behalf of all of us, thank you so much, and to the board as well, for that wonderful, important work you did, and also for the good and clear communication with which you share that. That is so very important, and well done to all of them. We are so glad that you are here to join us today for worship. We extend a special welcome to those of you who are visiting for the first time today, and on your way in, you should have received a welcome packet. We also have a gift for you, so please see one of our greeters after the service today. Unity is a worldwide spiritual movement. We are an inclusive community, and we welcome all people. Here are our announcements. Reiki treatments will be offered today after the service in the chat room. Use the sign-up sheet located in the foyer to receive a short 12 to 15-minute treatment. If you are numbers 1 and 2 on the sign-up sheet, go directly to the chat room after the service to begin your treatment. Other participants, please continue to enjoy fellowship in Margaret Kane Hall until you are called by one of the practitioners. Tuesday at 11 a.m., Peggy Tell will host our Unity Prayer Service in Zoom. This is a space to support with prayer those on our prayer list, on our hearts, and in our community. Then on Wednesday at 5:30 p.m., Karen Kelly will lead the gathering meditation via Zoom, creating a sacred space for quiet, introspective meditation. Please note, there will not be a meeting for the gathering on May 29th. Discussion class on Discover the Power Within You by Eric Butterworth happens on Wednesday in person from 1 to 2:30. All are welcome to join at any time. Upcoming events scheduled for our youth and family ministry are Creative Adventures next Sunday, May 26th at noon, and a play date on Sunday, June the 2nd at noon, both in the youth ed room. Starting in June, we will have a book sale set up in Margaret Kane Hall. Browse at your leisure, and sales are on a love offering basis. Then come join the fun. The music team is forming a choir to sing a song on Sunday, July 7th. There will be 4 rehearsals each Sunday starting June the 9th at 11:30 after the service. There you are. Let Gay or Alyssa know if you are interested. Everyone is welcome to participate. We will have guest speakers the following 2 Sundays. LUT Cindy Luton. Cindy, did you know that? Yeah. Okay. LUT Cindy Luton will give the message on May 26th, and LUT Peggy Tell on June the 2nd. And for those who are visiting and may not know what that stands for, LUT is our Licensed Unity Teachers. Emails are sent out weekly that have information on current happenings and how to join in events. To sign up for our emails, ask a greeter for a blue card and fill out both sides. Or you can visit our website to subscribe. Also, check out our website for up-to-date information at, all small letters, all together, unityofspringfieldil.org. We would like to express our thanks to all those who volunteered and helped with Unity's booth at Pride Fest. Everyone who participated in preparation or yesterday, just hold up a hand, would you? And thank you all so very much. And a special thank you to Sandy Shepard and Carol Strick. They're the ones who headed up this important outreach program. Creating our lives and our world through the thoughts and beliefs we hold in mind is a spiritual principle we practice at Unity of Springfield. We also know this truth together. There is only one presence and one power in the universe and in my life, God, the source of all good, and our vision statement together. A world powerfully transformed through the growing movement of shared spiritual awakening. Our mission statement: we recognize God is love, individualized in all people. Therefore, we provide a positive environment for spiritual growth that empowers all to be God's love in the world. And now Mary Disler will come and read our today's daily word.
Good morning. The daily words, there's 2 of them, for today, Sunday, May 19th, 2024, are I am. And the affirmation, I am a living expression of God. In the book of Exodus, Moses asks God his name. God responds, I am who I am. I am is the name of the divine presence within me, a reminder of my spiritual nature. Sometimes I may forget my divine identity by thinking of myself as weak, incapable, or unfortunate. If I have spoken disempowering words about myself, I release those thoughts and stop using those words. Each time I say, I am, I strengthen my awareness of the truth of my being. I am God's life, love, wisdom, and strength expressing uniquely as me. As I pay attention to my thoughts and words, I am able to recognize and release limiting thoughts more quickly. My awareness of my true identity grows stronger and stronger. And from Matthew chapter 16, verse 15, he said to them, "But who do you say that I am?" Once again, the affirmation, I am a living expression of God. Oh, I'm sorry. The daily words for today are I am, and can we say the affirmation together, please? Sorry. I am a living expression of God. Okay. And before we hear today's meditation and message from Reverend Alden, we will have special music performed by Linda Schneider. Wow.
Can I move it? I'm a shorty, I need the box. Okay. Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. No hell below us. Above us only sky. Imagine all the people living for today. Imagine there's no countries. It isn't hard to do. Nothing to kill or die for. And no religions too. Imagine all the people living life in peace. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us and the world will be as one. Imagine no possessions. I wonder if you can. No need for greed or hunger. A brotherhood of man. Imagine all the people sharing all the world. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us and the world will be as one. Peace.
That's just one of those songs that just takes you into another dimension of consciousness and wondering what would the world be like? Well, especially the part about, can you imagine not having any possessions? So, well, let's now spend some time connecting, some time communing with the Spirit of God within us. And so we prepare for a time of meditation, but just setting aside anything that might be in our laps, finding a comfortable place wherever we are right now, whether sitting here in the sanctuary or wherever you're experiencing this service right now. And we gently close our eyes and let go of all of our obligations, all of the demands of life, all of the things that require us doing something. For this isn't a time of doing, it is a time of being, of letting go. A time of connecting with the being of ourselves that is at the very core, the very center of our identity. The Master Teacher Jesus said that you are the light of the world. And it is that inner light, that inner state of being, that inner consciousness that we fully embrace right now in this moment. And with our next breath, we breathe in the very life, light, and energy of Spirit. And feel our bodies being blessed, every cell, every area. Blessed with wholeness and health, blessed with vitality and energy. With each breath that we breathe in, we feel our minds being inspired, filled with clarity, and the ability to observe ourselves and see ourselves for who we are, as spiritual beings. We feel the Spirit of God with each breath filling our emotions with calmness and serenity, peace, and poise. In this moment right now, we fully embrace all that is the infinite Spirit of God. And we feel that Spirit and that energy flowing through us now, lifting us up, providing whatever is needed for our lives right now and moving forward. And this experience is an affirmation of a truth that we need to remind ourselves of continually, that we are fully supported, nurtured, and provided with all that we need. That lack doesn't truly exist in reality, but only as a perception. That we are sustained through our connection and our openness to the Creator and Sustainer of all life. And that Creator and Sustainer is called by many names. The most common one is God. but there are others as well. And so when we connect with, consciously, as we are now, with a power that seems greater than ourselves, our higher power, as we connect with what we understand to be the infinite spirit of good, we are enriched in ways that seem beyond even our most expanded imagination. And so let us allow ourselves to be filled with the fullness of God's Spirit as we sit quietly in the silence for a few moments. And now, as we move from the silence, the calmness, back into the world of activity, back into the world of doing, let us carry with us an awareness of the infinite power of Spirit, blessing and sustaining us in all that we do, through our work, through our times with friends and family, through our travels, through our lives. And we are grateful for this opportunity we've had to be here in this place, in this moment, and to know the truth together. And we give thanks in the name and through the power of the living Christ presence within us all. And so it is. Amen. I'd like to begin by thanking our music staff today. Where are they? There they are. Where is she? There's our soloist right there. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Gay. Thank you, Alyssa. Thank you, Linda. Everybody else who's made this service possible, to Jean and Mary. Thank you. To Chris Smith back there advancing our PowerPoint slides and giving us the board super minute. And Danny, to our videography, and to our greeters, Becky and Chris Zell. We appreciate all of you, and Chris Farashon, who you don't see here, who's our administrative person in Ohio. Yes, she works in Ohio, but she's here too. Welcome to everybody who's watching us today on YouTube and Facebook live stream. And before I get into my talk, I want to talk a little bit about what you already heard about and probably participated in at some level yourselves, our celebration of Pride Fest. It was an awesome experience, and in more than just our own church, which has had a booth for, how long has it been, Sandy? 10 years, or? It's been many years.
The very first year, we were in the parade. Next year, we had a table.
Wow.
We had a canopy.
For a long time. And it was so cool to be a part of this. 11 years? 11 years. And, you know, thanks to everybody who was a part of this. I don't know if I have enough time now to read everybody's names, but I'll post this if you haven't seen it. This is the list of everybody who was a part of it, and, you know, hats off to you and your wrangler. Isn't that what you call it? I know you use the word wrangler to describe all these. It is a bit of a wrangling, isn't it? I feel like I was wrangled a little bit, but I probably need that. And we also walked in the parade, and this is a sign, one of the signs we carried, along with our banner. You both saw the banner last week that's up here. And so we walked with our group that we're a part of, the United Open and Affirming Faith Communities. And it was quite a group of us coming down the road. And we were also, right behind us was another group, City Council group. I'm looking at Makeda over here, who's a part of that. She was the first person I saw when we showed up for the parade. It was so cool to connect with you, and we were right together going down Fifth Street. That was so cool. That's so cool. And the fun's not over. We will be participating in the second, I believe it is, Jacksonville Pride on June the 1st. And Jen Miller, our Youth and Family Ministries Director, is going to be leading that effort. And if you're in the Jacksonville community and want to be a part of it, please talk with her. She's got our banner that we're going to use. And you're welcome to these signs. I got 2 of these signs that we'll be putting in front of our church soon. So I just wanted to show you these cool signs, which let people know that we are a welcome and affirming congregation and spiritual community. So, moving on. Fake news. We didn't use that word 10 years ago, did we? But we kind of trusted the news. Yeah, you watch the news, and yeah, there it is. We also didn't use the term post-truth world. Have you heard that we live in a post-truth world? And let's add more to the big pile of fake news. How about AI? Oh, God. Artificial intelligence. You know, before that, it was CGI, you know, computer-generated graphics and stuff. So you watch a movie or a commercial, and they do things, and you kind of go, how did they do that? You know? And now we kind of look at those commercials and go, yeah, it's whatever, you know. It's kind of how it is. This is a real problem today. And I know in Unity we're not supposed to call things problems. I heard Donna today talking in the class as I walked by briefly, talking about how we don't want to call things problems. What do we call problems in Unity? Challenges. Challenges, not problems. So I can hear her looking at me. She's being very quiet and patient with me, saying, don't be so negative, Alden. Don't be so negative. It's a challenge, not a problem. Okay, it is a challenge. But we need to be, in these days, a little more vigilant, a little more cognizant of what we see, of what we experience. And we have to go through kind of a second step sometimes, not all the time, to discern whether or not what we're witnessing and experiencing is fake. Whether it's genuine, the real deal, or whether it's just kind of made up. Now, when I think of the word fake news, I don't really think of the United States as much as I do another country. When you think about fake news, maybe you think of this country. It's a very large country. It's the largest country in the world. And there's all kinds of a lot of disinformation and propaganda that comes from this very, very, very large country. And I thought, well, it might be interesting to hear from somebody who's from that country and share a little bit with us. So I'm going to share a video with you. Here's the guy here, and I'll let him introduce himself. Oop, let's get him going. Bingo.
Do you know what blood is? Blood. If you aren't Russian, born and raised in the USSR, born and raised in Russia, the chances are that you don't. Blood is your path to Russian version of success. Russian version of success. Precious key that opens all doors. Blood. Very few, although it's possible. But most are born into it and get it passed onto them by others. Usually friends, blood, or family. Is what makes you a success in Mother Russia. Makes you a success. And it is so very different from America. In this life from America, I'll give tell you my personal story on how I didn't have blood in Russia, and how I did not need it in America. Why am I telling you my personal story in this live stream? Because it is revealing of Russia, how two countries work. Russia and America. My name is Konstantin. Welcome to Inside Russia. We're living in today's Russia. Russia is explained by no propaganda, BS, unusual Russian, no propaganda, BS, no lies here, only truth, common sense, and because I'm a human being after all, and oh boys today, quite a few memories today. Because I'm gonna tell you again. Let me tell you a personal story. I find it important to share because on how Russia works. Now, I'll start with telling you that I'm coming from a very poor but hardworking family. Actually, my family was rich about 100 years ago. A Cossack chief and a large landowner. Also had land. And my dad's grandpa also had land and grew wheat, had own mill and made baking flour that he sold at his own shop. My mom's family had everything confiscated by the commies in 1920. And the entire family was exiled to Russia's far east. Was not so fortunate. My dad's family was not so fortunate. The commies broke in one night and killed the entire family, who escaped, except for my grandpa, who escaped. But that's a different story. So basically, all were leads to die. All children, my parents and their siblings, my parents and their siblings, all 10 of them, got higher education and landed good jobs. Well, over years, of course, Soviet standards. Good jobs by we were still poor as mouses. At all. I'm not complaining at all. My parents gave me the most important things they could. Values. Love, care, and values.
It's quite a story, isn't it? I think you can tell by listening to Konstantin here that he's not faking his story. And we can tell when somebody's telling a genuine story by the way they look at you. They look you in the eye. They don't look here and look there or look down. There's a whole psychological science around that kind of thing, when you can tell somebody is maybe not coming across as genuine. But just a little bit about his story, you can tell that he speaks English pretty well. And you can tell that he had some experience in the United States. Well, he got his bachelor's degree from the University of Southern Maine. Not bad for some young guy from Russia who's in his 20s. He lived in the United States for 9 years and worked here. And he loved the United States. But he missed his family, so he went back to Russia in 2004. It was during kind of a boom time, and got to reconnect with a lot of his relatives. You can probably guess that he doesn't live in Russia anymore. He doesn't. because he left Russia in the fall of 2022 when they began a conscription in that country to fight, to send soldiers to fight in Ukraine. He did not want to be a part of that. He didn't want to chance that. So he currently lives in the mighty country of Uzbekistan, which I know is on everybody's travel bucket list. But he is a huge advocate for Ukraine. You heard him talk about his Cossack relatives. Cossacks are from Ukraine. He has Ukrainian background. He's lived in Ukraine before, worked in Ukraine, has probably some Ukrainian DNA. I've been watching him before the war because I was just curious about stuff over in his country and have been following ever since. Now, one of the reasons I just showed you this little clip here is I wanted to have us take a look at what we would call, if you watch YouTubers, there's kind of a boilerplate in the front or sometimes at the end of their message that is something they say every time. And you heard it here. And you hear this every one of his presentations. No propaganda, BS, or lies, only logic, common sense, truth, and some emotions because I am a human being. When we're attempting to discern the facts of a situation, to discern the truth, when we're trying to uncover whether or not something is fake, especially in today's world where it can get a little confusing, we need to use a balance of reason and intuition, logic and feeling, to figure out if what we're seeing and what we're witnessing is the genuine thing. Now, Jesus had something to say about this, and I'm going to pull up a slide here that I will read to you. And Jesus said, this is in the book of Matthew, "Beware of false prophets who come disguised as harmless sheep but are really vicious wolves. You can identify them by their fruit, that is, by the way they act. Can you pick grapes from thorn bushes or figs from thistles? A good tree produces good fruit, and a bad tree produces bad fruit. A good tree can't produce bad fruit, and a bad tree can't produce good fruit. So every tree that does not produce good fruit is chopped down and thrown into the fire. Yes, you can identify a tree by its fruit, so you can identify people by their actions." Now, there are many different levels that we can interpret this piece of scripture, and there's kind of the basic kind of literal story here about fruit trees, good fruit, bad fruit. When I was a minister in Florida, which, as you've heard, wasn't that long ago, my office had a lot of windows on it. Like, there was one side that had windows over here, and then back behind me, behind my desk, I had this big window. And right behind that window was this rather large mango tree. It was a beautiful tree. Grew, it was real spread out, and it was green, and I just loved looking out that window at all this greenery that would hang over that part of the office there, and I really enjoyed this tree. However, the fruit from this tree was fit for a raccoon. Well, I don't know, I think the raccoons even thought, I don't know about this stuff, but anyway. The fruit wasn't particularly good. And the reason why is because that tree was planted from a pit. And if you know anything about fruit trees, when you grow something from a seed or you grow something from a pit or whatever, you don't always get what you just ate. You get something else. And that tree was actually planted by a member of the church who thought it'd be a great idea to plant a mango tree right there. I think it was planted quite a while ago because it was so large. And the fruit was just yucky, We left it for the raccoons or any other animal that wanted to have them. And on the other side of the church, you can imagine the parking lot out here. Well, if you went in the parking lot of that church and you go to the far end of it, there was kind of a little grassy strip there and a mango tree. And it was not a particularly pretty tree. It had pieces of it fall down and this and that. But it produced mangoes too. Those are the mangoes you wanted to get to before everybody else did. The raccoons, the birds, or anybody that came in the parking lot and noticed that tree. And let me tell you, in Florida, mango theft is a huge problem. And I took many of those home. Some of them had fallen on the ground. Some of them had been attacked by some animal, and I would just cut that part off and eat the rest, not picky. But it was awesome fruit. It had just a flavor to it. So this story is about fruit trees, But Jesus often shared stories that were more than just stories. They were allegorical. They were psychological. They were metaphysical. It wasn't just the basic story that he was sharing. There was a message that underlied that story. Now, in Jesus' day, there were a lot of teachers and preachers that went around sharing the good news, the stories. Scholars, when they look at this particular passage, just to mention, don't think it maybe was something that Jesus authentically said, but something like he would have said. And you got to remember, the book of Matthew was written around 90 of our era, or 90 AD, so a long time after Jesus lived. And this was not a time where, we'll call it a time of prophets, like the prophets you read about in the Bible, the Isaiahs, the Elijahs, the Jeremiahs. No one was a prophet, but there were some that thought they might be. So in the early era of the Common Era, there were these teachers, these eccentric teachers, those claiming to be prophets who said they speak with the voice of God. And so likely many of them were not all that genuine in what they were sharing. They may have said words that they thought people would like to hear, that would kind of grab them and kind of take them into their confidence, work for them. And this whole idea of sheep's clothing is about this attractive nature of these speakers. And of course, sheep denote a certain innocence, harmlessness, a sense of sincerity, of being totally benign. And sheep are also a common biblical term for just people in general. I mean, you've heard people referred to, as those guys are sheep, In the Christian church, there's a lot of reference to my flock. I don't think of you as a flock, just to let you know. I like to think of you as a lot spiritual friends. Does that sound better? Yeah. Or as they say at Walmart, associates. No, forget that. Now you're awake. There we go. So these prophets would come across as genuine and sincere, not necessarily because they were divinely inspired, but maybe they had some ego need to be heard, to be affirmed by those who would listen. And that's where we get this image of the ravenous wolves that's being talked about in this particular passage. They don't necessarily have the best interests of the recipients of their message at heart. They're con men. They're trying to put one over for whatever reason. And so this phrase in Matthew was a warning to those of that day. Watch out for these guys. Watch out for them and judge them not by what they're seeing, but by their fruits, by the results of their work, by their actions. And do their words bring about healing and wholeness and abundance and blessing? Now we can think about all of the false prophets in our lives. People who are always trying to tell us what to do. Do you have anybody like that? I don't. But I'm talking about people who think a whole lot about themselves, that their advice is always the best. They're subject to what I would call pontificating. I love that word. Yeah. They know it all. And this teaching is saying, take a look at these folks who are giving you the truth, Do you want to take advice from someone who doesn't have their act together? Or how about people who say, oh, I'll come through for you? Do they back their words up with actions? I'll be there to help, don't worry. And either they do or they don't. And we're all our own prophets in the sense of these words, aren't we? Our consciousness becomes our conscientiousness, whether or not we come through with good fruit in our lives, or maybe we fall a little short. So as we look at this passage from the view of a truth student, somebody who's working on themselves, as people who are working to incorporate these teachings in our lives, we run into the question, what really is the truth? And there's so many versions of the truth out there. Can we be confident in any of them? There's so many prophets of God's truth, different messages. Who's right? What are the teachings of truth and what aren't they? What are false teachings and what are the real deal? Well, one of the great writers of the New Thought world and friend of unity was Emmett Fox. He's probably, maybe many of you read his book, Sermon on the Mount. Well, he gives an interpretation of this passage from Matthew in that book, and he says this: If man really were left without a simple practical test of religious truth, he would assuredly be in a sad plight. But happily, this is not the case. Jesus, the most profound and at the same time, the most simple and practical teacher the world has ever known, has provided for this need and has given us an utterly simple and universally applicable test for truth. It is a test that any man or woman of any kind, anywhere, can easily apply for him or herself. It is as simple and direct as the acid test for gold. It is the simple question, does it work? Does it work? By their fruits you will know them. Only a good tree bears good fruit. It's just simple stuff. So when we look at our own understanding of truth principles and our application of these principles in our lives, all we have to do is to determine whether our lives are working as a result of these teachings we're following. Does it work or doesn't it work? Are there fruits in my life? Are there abundant blessings? And if the answer is yes, well, maybe this stuff does work. If the answer is no, well, maybe we just need to be open to some greater understanding of whatever the truth is. You know the old saying, the proof is in the what? The pudding. I'd love to know where that statement came from. It's wherever they have pudding. I like the chocolate pudding myself at the buffet, you know, over here, the Golden Corral, don't they always have the chocolate pudding? Yeah. The proof is in the results. And we have to be judged of our own results to assess whether or not we have more to learn and to discover from the point of view of truth. So identifying truth teachings from false assumptions is called life, and we're all working on that. It's the life of a spiritual seeker. We try this, we try that, we test what works and what doesn't work. And it's by finding out what doesn't work that can lead us to what does, to sift out the erroneous, self-defeating thinking and those messages that seem to come from, oh gosh, where does it come from? Well, it comes from the daily word we heard, didn't we? Right? Yeah. Some of these things, like sometimes I may forget my divine identity, thinking of myself as weak, incapable, or unfortunate. If I have spoken disempowering words about myself, I release those thoughts and stop using those words. You've heard that before about 20 minutes ago. I heard it. I thought it was very, very cool. But what are these false prophets in our head, in our minds, that kind of do this in front of us? You know, like fake news. What's the fake news? What are those messages that are there like, I'm no good? You're no good, you're no good, you're no good, baby, you're no good. Linda Ronstadt? Anyway. Great song, but maybe not the best message. Or I'm a sinner. Now, if you grew up in a church that said that a lot, it's a lot to let go of. Because that's not who we are. And the word sin simply means missing the mark. Well, yeah, we miss the mark. It's part of life. It's part of learning. It's part of our growth. But that's not who we are. Or I'm a worthless piece of junk, and this is how I feel today. That's fake news. That may be how you really feel, but that's not the truth about who each of us is. Because I'm no good, and neither is anybody else, and since nobody is any good, there's no point in my doing any good, blah, 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 blah. That's fake news that rolls in our minds, and we have to learn to be aware of it. And so we have to learn to move beyond these messages of low self-esteem, this sheep's clothing, that can suck us up into a lot of self-defeating, self-judgmentalism. We need to move beyond that and weed out these thoughts in our lives. And all those folks who want to simply tell us what the truth is when really, it's not really the truth. And these could be people and relationships we've had. Maybe you've had relationships with people who at the time you thought was really kind of a cool relationship. And then maybe something happens and you go, I don't know much about that. There's one person I'm thinking of in my own life. And later on, there was something more that just simply said, this isn't producing any good fruit for anybody. Maybe I need to move on from my association with this person. And maybe you're thinking of somebody right now that maybe you're wondering about. Because good fruit comes from a good tree. Good fruit, good life experiences. That's what we want to grow in our lives. So what kind of fruit are we growing? Are the experiences of our lives what we want to continue to have happen? Are there fruit trees in our minds and in our lives that need to be cut down and thrown in the fire? Are there attitudes and erroneous ideas that need to change? We have to all become orchardists of our own inner orchard of fruit trees and decide, what do we want to keep? What do we want to keep growing? And so on the subject of what isn't working, I'm going to conclude with a story. Brother Baku entered the monastery of silence, and the head friar said, "Welcome, brother. This is a silent monastery. You're welcome to be here as long as you like, but you may not speak unless I direct you to do so." So Brother Baku lived in the monastery for 5 years before the head friar said to him, "Brother Baku, you have been here 5 years now. You may speak 2 words." Brother Baku said, "Hard bed." "Well, I'm sorry to hear that," said the head friar. "We'll get you a better bed." And after another 5 years, Brother Baku was called by the head friar. "You may say another 2 words, Brother Baku." "Cold food," said Brother Baku. And the head friar assured him that the food would be better in the future. And on his 15th anniversary at the monastery, the head friar summoned Brother Baku to hear his aloud 2 words. "I quit," said Brother Baku. "Well, that's probably the best," said the head friar. "You've done nothing but complain since you've been here." And now, we're going to move along in our service today when I get the right sheet up in front of me here. The right sheet. I know it's here. This is what happens when you have sheets. Here we go. We're going to sing one of the coolest songs in the red hymnal. It's number 212, and it's called "Weave."
Weave, weave, weave us together, weave us
we now have an opportunity to share of our treasure, of our gifts with this ministry, its work here in this community. And so there are many ways to do that. You can go to our website, unityofspringfieldil.org. There's a donate link there. You also can text to 217-335-4121 or mail a check to our address, Unity of Springfield, 417 East Cordelia Street in Springfield, IL 62703. And so please take whatever gift you have to share, if you have one in your hand, or if you give electronically. And by the way, we do have bowls here to receive those that are physical. And let us join together in affirming our offering statement together. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God. Amen. And now let us move along to our prayer for protection together. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us wherever we are. God is, and all is well. And now let us, thank you, God, and now let us rise, join hands if you like, as we sing, Let There Be Peace on Earth. And knowing the most important news, that we are all children of God. Thank you. And have a great week, everyone.